Hello and thanks for watching. I'm Jesse Mitchell in New York, and this is CBS News Roundup. Here are the top stories. Special election night, Wisconsin and Florida offering a first glimpse into how voters feel about President Trump and Elon Musk. New tariffs are on the way, with President Trump making a big reveal on Wednesday in what he's calling Liberation Day. And in China, manufacturers are looking to avoid U.S. tariffs by seeking other buyers. The results are in for a handful of elections in Florida and Wisconsin that are seen as key tests of President Donald Trump's political standing 3 months into his second term. First up, in the crucial Wisconsin State Supreme Court battle, Democrat-backed Susan Crawford cemented a liberal majority on the court, beating back massive funding by billionaire Elon Musk. And in special elections in Florida, Republican Jimmy Fine emerged victorious in the 6th Congressional District. The contest for Florida's other congressional seat, District 1, went to fellow Republican Jimmy Patronis. Both were endorsed by President Trump. Neither of these two races will change the razor-thin Republican majority in Congress, but will mean a slightly larger lead for conservatives. President Trump is on the verge of revealing his next round of tariffs and import taxes. He's calling Wednesday Liberation Day, saying his new levies will raise revenue for the U.S. and incentivize companies to move manufacturing to America. Critics say the tariffs will only hurt the U.S. economy. CBS's Erica Brown reports from the White House.
The White House is prepared to roll out sweeping new tariffs on countries that tax American-made goods.
April 2nd, 2025 will go down as one of the most important days in modern American history.
President Trump says the tariffs will hit friends and enemies alike.
Friend and foe. I always say friend and foe, but the friend in many cases is worse than the foe. They took advantage of us.
These reciprocal tariffs are in addition to previously announced tariffs, including one that goes into effect Thursday on foreign-made vehicles and auto parts, and a 25% tax on steel, aluminum, and other goods from Canada, one of America's largest trading partners. Trump justified the Canadian tariffs, saying the country hasn't done enough to stop the flow of fentanyl coming into the U.S. But Democrats have said the majority of fentanyl is not coming across the northern border.
The amount of fentanyl that comes over the Canadian border is minuscule. They're doing it so they raise revenue so they can give tax cuts to the billionaires like everything else.
Senate Democrats are preparing a bill that will force Republicans to go on the record about whether or not they support Trump's tariffs. Virginia Senator Tim Kaine has pushed a bill that would end the emergency declaration Trump used to justify the Canadian tariffs.
We're here to stop a huge national sales tax being imposed on Americans through these Canadian tariffs that are based on a fake Canadian emergency.
At least 2 Republican senators, Kentucky's Rand Paul and Maine's Susan Collins, have said they will vote with Democrats to try to stop the Canadian tariffs. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
America's biggest trading partners are expected to suffer from the president's new tariffs. Among them will be China, where manufacturers are already looking for new customers outside the United States. CBS's Anna Corin reports from Hong Kong.
Along a tree-lined street outside the city of Yiwu in eastern China lies an industrial area where businessman Chen Wenguang has come to inspect his factory. This is where the 42-year-old produces insulated water bottles and coffee cups with an automated assembly line that seldom stops. With a quarter of his production exported to the United States now hit with 20% tariffs. Among his biggest clients, Walmart. Mr. Chen says orders have slowed right down as US customers wait to see how this plays out.
Who will feel the effects of the tariffs?
The clients in the US will be affected most by the tariffs, he says.
If the US trade war intensifies, as many predict, then Mr. Chan, like many other business owners, says he will just need to adapt and focus his attention on other key markets around the world.
Europe and the Middle East are now firmly in his sights. In an attempt to safeguard their business, he and his wife recently returned from Dubai after meeting with potential new buyers for their finished products.
This nice cup.
Both sides will be losers in this trade war, he tells me. We have to sit down and try to resolve this. Anna Corin, CBS News, Hong Kong.
The White House insists that migrants are carefully vetted before they're deported from the U.S. But now the administration admits at least one migrant was sent out accidentally. A married migrant with a special needs child living in Maryland has been sent here, one of the most dangerous prisons in the world. CBS's Nancy Cordes reports.
ICE officials now admit this man was not supposed to end up at the notorious Sicotte prison in El Salvador. In a new court filing, they say the deportation of Kilmar Abrego Garcia was an administrative error and an oversight.
What they're saying is, yeah, we messed up, so what?
Simon Sandoval-Moschenberg is his lawyer.
What we're asking right now is for the government to ask for him back from the government of El Salvador.
Right now, Trump officials are saying no. Vice President J.D. Vance called Abrego Garcia a convicted MS-13 gang member with no legal right to be here.
Is Kilmar a gang member?
He's not a gang member. The allegations against him are based on whispers and shadows.
What is clear is that Abrego Garcia fled gang violence in El Salvador when he was 16. In 2019, an immigration judge issued a grant of protection, which prohibits him from being deported back to his home country for his safety.
This individual was an MS-13 ringleader.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
The judge ordered that he should remain in this country. So are you saying that it is okay to ignore a judge's ruling if you don't like it?
Who does that judge work for?
He's an immigration judge.
An immigration judge who works for the Department of Justice at the direction of the Attorney General of the United States, whose name is Pam Bondi, who has committed to eradicating MS-13 from our nation's interior.
Right now, the White House seems to be saying they don't want to ask for him back.
No, unfortunately they don't. It's appalling to me. I've had wrongful deportation cases before, including in the last Trump administration. And in every single such case, as soon as they realized what they'd done, they bent over backwards. They moved mountains to get these guys back.
This case is shining new light on the cases of other men whose families say they were sent to Sicotte in error.
At a court hearing on Friday, Abrego Garcia's lawyers will call on a federal judge to order government officials to ask El Salvador to send him back to the U.S. But government lawyers are arguing that the judge has no jurisdiction here because the man in question is no longer in the country. Nancy Cordes, CBS News, the White House.
Straight ahead on CBS News Roundup, we'll tell you how the deep cuts at the Department of Health and Human Services could affect patients getting treatment at home. That's coming up next.